Welcome to episode... Okay, maybe I should have started later. We're not restarting. That doesn't happen in this show. Welcome to episode 41 of Tech of Tea. I am, as always, your host, Brody Robertson. And today's guest is someone who I've been... not trying, just wanting to bring on for a while. I knew it would come on as soon as I asked him. Welcome to the show, Distrotube.
How's it going, Brody?
Oh, not too bad. Like, I've been saying for like the past 3 or 4 months that I was like, oh, I'm gonna go ask DT to come onto the show, because back when I had, 1,000 or so subs, you're like, oh yeah, do you want to do a collab at some point? And nothing really ever happened with that because I didn't have any ideas for it, but I knew that once I asked you, you would actually come on the show.
Oh yeah, I'm easy to get on camera. So I've done I've appeared on a bunch of other channels.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when people ask me, I've got no problem with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Anybody that wants to sit around and just chat, whether it be about Linux, computers, or just life in general, these are always fun.
So yeah, for sure. Well, that's part of the reason I started the podcast anyway. I find it fun to chat with people, and it gives me an excuse to talk to people that I otherwise wouldn't really get a chance to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, today it was a little hectic. I know we're just starting recording, but I had actually just finished editing and publishing a video not even an hour ago. I was actually trying to get something done as quick as I could because I knew we had scheduled this appointment, and I never miss an appointment, but it was starting to run kind of late. I'm glad I got what I wanted to. Yeah.
To make you feel slightly better about it, it's 9 a.m. here, so I have the entire day ahead of me.
Oh, good. Yeah, my day started pretty early. I actually got up and went to the gym this morning, worked out, then came and made a video for my channel. Now I'm doing this with you. And once this is done, I'm probably going to drink a couple of beers and go to bed.
Yeah, I did notice you were wearing that Anytime Fitness shirt a few videos back.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that was like a massive chain that came out of Australia, because there's Anytime Fitness here as well. I thought it was just an Australian thing.
No, they're all over the US.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been a member of Anytime for about 5 years. About 5 years ago, I started working out in a serious way because I was pretty out of shape. And I had some issues with my back. I've had some serious back issues that I was actually worried that when I signed up and started working out, I wouldn't even be able to work out. But oddly enough, it actually straightened things out. My back, it worked out all the kinks, just lifting weights, and just doing something physical. And I've just stuck with it.
Yeah, I've been kind of lazy with working out. I was working out for a while when I had, back when I was at my old place, we had like a home gym. But since I moved from there, I've kind of been lazy about it. I should be getting back into running, but I just keep putting it off. I find some reason to just not do it. And then a couple of months... What is my hair doing? Then a couple of months pass, and I'm still not working out. We can get into your hair later, because people still... no matter how many times you say it, you're still bald.
Yeah, they can see the hairline. I know they can see the hairline.
But, yeah, I've just been putting off working out. I did used to kind of be, pretty unfit back in high school, but it was nothing, major bad. It's just if I left it for a while, it would have eventually become a problem that I would really have to deal with.
Yeah, my problem was mainly just especially younger, doing physical things, working offshore on the oil rigs out in the Gulf of Mexico, and doing things with my back that I shouldn't have, picking up on things you shouldn't have, not the correct way. And it just got to the point where it was hard to just get out of bed, or it was hard to just put on a pair of pants because your back is hurting all the time. I had pain just sitting up in a chair, and it was just amazing. Just a few weeks after starting to work out 3-4 times a week, things were completely different, and that was what shocked me. Because I thought it was going to be one of those things. You don't really want to do it. Nobody has the time to work out. But if it was, hey, sit around in pain all the time, or go to the gym, work out a little bit. I'm going to keep up with that.
Well, everyone has some time that they're wasting, but they don't realize they're wasting. Maybe you'll I don't know, go on YouTube, watch some videos. Maybe you'll sit down, watch something on TV. There's always a bit of extra time, unless you're someone like Elon Musk who runs 3 companies. Everyone has a bit of time where they can go and work out. It's just getting yourself to actually go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people spend so much time on Facebook and playing video games and, things that are really not that productive. And if they could just take a fraction of that time, you don't have to spend hours every day at the gym. If you could spend three days a week for an hour each day at the gym, you would be amazed at how much better you feel. And you might even lose some weight, but at the very least, you probably won't gain any weight. That's another thing. Walking 30 minutes a day will solve all your problems, right?
And so especially when people are locked inside all the time, it's just good to get outside and get yourself a bit of sunlight.
Yes, yeah, and that was the problem here in February. We had our lockdown here for 2 months, and I mentioned I was started working out about 5 years ago, going all the time, and then for 2 months I had to stop, and I was actually concerned after 2 months. Well, you didn't get in the habit of not going. Well, and the very first day they opened everything back up, I was back in the gym, and it was like I never missed a beat. So
it's just going to be like you're a bit stiffer than you were before. It's just, but once you get past that,
well, you got to take it easy.
Yeah. Don't try to go as hard as you're going before, because then you're going to put yourself out of the gym for a while. I've done that a couple of times. You can hurt yourself.
I've seen guys get injured doing things they shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually what happens when I start running again. I'll push myself a bit more. Like I've run for like 6 or so months in blocks, and every time I stop because I do something stupid and hurt myself.
I used to run on a regular basis. I could run, 4 miles, no problem. But I ended up stopping the running, at least not on a regular basis, because I was having problems with tendonitis in one of my feet. Which is, the tendon gets inflamed, and it doesn't really hurt all the time, but anything that touches it is excruciating. Like if you bumped it, like against the corner of a table or something, you would be on the floor crying. Yeah, like it hurts that bad. So after a couple of bouts of tendonitis, I was like, you know what? Let's not stress that tendon as much anymore. So instead of running now, I spend a lot more time on the elliptical.
Yeah, ellipticals are great as well. I've got a what's it called, a bike trainer thing, so you can put your bike on it and then basically turn it into an elliptical. That's perfectly fine, because my area is kind of hilly, and getting into cycling again in a hilly area isn't the most fun experience.
Man, I wish I had heels, because I do like biking too, but because of where I live in Louisiana, half the state is essentially just a floodplain for the Mississippi River, before they diked up all the rivers. So it's flatland. There's not a hill to be seen. So, I wish there were some hills.
Yeah, Australia is good for that. You can go 5 minutes away from one area, it's flat there. Then you go to where I am, it's super hilly. Then 5 minutes down the road again, it's flat again.
Yeah. It'd just be nice to break the monotony of everything looking the same. Right?
That's fair. Yeah, that's why I like going visiting my parents a lot, because they live in the South Australia Riverlands, which, as the name would suggest, there are lots of rivers there, and it's a different look from being in the suburbs all the time. And as much as I like where I am, you do definitely get sick of seeing houses everywhere.
Yeah, I live in a city. But when I was in college, I spent 2 years in a very remote area of Ohio, like the southeastern corner of Ohio, in a very small town. Like there wasn't even like a Walmart or any kind of supermarket, and the streets, instead of being paved, they were still like red brick. Like it was just, out in the middle of nowhere, and I loved it. I had to drive 45 minutes to go shopping, to go buy something. And a lot of people would be put off by that, but I loved it. I had no neighbors, and just see herds of deer everywhere. And it was beautiful country. I kind of miss it.
Yeah, I grew up in a rural part of Queensland in the middle of a rainforest, And honestly, it was lovely out there. The nearest town, I think, was about 35-minute drive. For anyone who knows anything about Queensland, the nearest town was Gympie, and that's the only town anyone recognised in rural Queensland. Anyway.
Oh, well, that's got to be an awesome town.
No.
With that name?
Yeah, Gympie. It's spelled Gympie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't question it. Anyway, my primary school there, I think, had 60 students when I left, and that was from first grade to 7th grade. I don't know what that would be in the US. That's when you're like 12 or so, whatever that works out to be.
Yeah, that would be like our middle school age,
okay, yeah.
7th grade, 8th grade.
So there was 3 classes. There was 1, 2, and 3 in one class, 4 and 5 in one class, and 6 and 7 in another class. And it obviously didn't work out, but because there were so few students, the teachers somehow managed to handle it. But I do want to eventually get back out to being in a rural area because it's nice and quiet, honestly. It's just nice to get away from people sometimes.
I would agree. And I think just based on the name, Gympie, I would want to live there. That ranks up there with some of my favorite town names. There's a town in Indiana called French Lick, and that's just a fantastic name. And I'm not too far away from Arkansas, where I live here in Louisiana. And in Arkansas, there's a small town called Bald Knob. And man, that is just the coolest name ever. Bald Knob, Arkansas.
Well, there's a place in South Australia called Iron Knob. So, hey, we've got just
Iron Knob.
There's a lot of these weird names in Australia. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking with some of these. But hey, the name actually does make sense for Iron Knob because this is where the steel industry was born in Australia.
Well, that would make sense.
But still, Iron Knob, really.
Yeah, Bald Knob makes sense too because of all the cypress trees. When they start growing out of the water, they're called knobs. So
that makes sense.
It's actually the bald cypress, so bald knobs. So.
Well, now that we've scared everyone away with not talking about anything at all, how about for the people who don't know? Hey.
Just edit all of this out. Just cut it out.
No,
we'll
they
start.
can have it.
You want to do the intro?
No, I like just doing something completely off topic. This podcast, I don't worry about it being anything about tech. It's a tech podcast in name only. But for the people who just don't know who you are, now that we're 12 minutes in, let them know who you are.
Well, I am a Linux nerd. That's what most people think. I have a YouTube channel and a library channel, and most of it is about Linux. You will find me at Distrotube on YouTube and on library. That's about it.
That's
me in a nutshell.
All right, then. So you've been making videos for, I think, 3 or so years now?
3 years. Yeah, about 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, I went back and looked at some of your really, really old stuff, and it makes me feel good it makes me feel good about how bad I was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I do that sometimes. It's one of those things I often, when they ask me about YouTube and getting started with it, it's like, dude, you're not going to be good at it.
No.
Not when you start. So don't even worry about it. Because people, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Man, just hit record and go with it. Because I promise you, that first video is going to be so bad. You're going to come back later and be like, I can't believe I made that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends who are like, oh, I'm going to start making videos, but I can't get the video like I want it to be, and they just keep putting it off and keep remaking it. It's never going to be good. It will never be good. Just release the video, make the next one.
Yeah, I often tell people, until you've made at least 100 videos, you're not going to have any idea what you're doing.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You can kind of get these, I guess, ideas about what you should possibly be going towards, but when it comes, like, even not just presentation style is something you can work on as you go, but when it comes to doing things like titling and thumbnails, that's something that no matter how much you look at how they should be done, you will have no idea how to do it until you've sort of seen what works with the audience that you have. And when you have no videos, you have no audience. So just put the video out. Right.
Well, it's the same thing with the presentation as well, but also with the titles, thumbnails, everything is, you don't really know what you want to do when you start out. Even if I know I'm going to make videos about Linux, but still there's so much involved in that. I mean, what are you really going to do? You won't know until you start recording. You make a few videos, you find out what you're good at, what you're not good at. You won't even have found your voice until you've made 100 videos, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, your first videos were mainly on, which obviously explains the name, were mainly on distro stuff. You did have a couple of things here and there, like videos on PWD and touch and just basic things like that. But most of the stuff you did at the start has been distro stuff, but you've sort of shifted away from that since then. You still do some distro videos here and there, but it's mainly the software stuff now.
Yeah, for the most part, it's like anything else. Interests change. So when I started, I really didn't know what I was doing. I just started a channel. Figured I'd do something about Linux just because I didn't see a lot of Linux content on YouTube. So, hey, why not? And then you figure out what you like. So I started talking about, well, I did distro reviews, obviously, early. And I also did some early videos about the terminal. I did a lot of videos about OpenBox and Qtile, a couple of window managers. And I kind of liked that. I like diving into, especially window managers, and with some terminal stuff too. And it got hard to juggle all these topics, right? Because people are only there for one thing sometimes. I only want to watch your distro reviews. I only want to watch your videos about Vim. I only want to watch your videos about these window managers. And you're juggling all this, and at some point, you just got to go with what you want to go with, right? You just make the videos you want to make. That's what I do these days. If I have a topic in mind, I want to make the video. I don't care about the audience.
Yeah,
I don't care how many views it gets or anything. It's just what I want to do that day. I'm going to do it because it has to be something that you enjoy doing.
For sure, yeah.
If you're making videos you don't enjoy doing, you're going to hate.
It also comes across in the video, definitely.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, because you see a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people that you can tell they hate making the video that they're making.
Yeah, and it's usually
I often see that.
It's usually because early on they'll get themselves stuck in a niche and then not realize that niche is smaller than they thought it was.
Oh yeah, or interest change.
Or that as well. Yeah,
they brand the channel one thing. And they go with it for a few months and realize, I hate doing this. But you've done pigeonholed yourself into making this one kind of content. And then if you try to change, you lose all your viewers because all your viewers were there for that other kind of content. It's basically starting over.
Yeah, you can sometimes retain some of those viewers if your switch isn't going to be as massive. Like, say you switch from Linux to general tech. You are still going to retain some of those viewers, but if you say switch from Linux to a cooking channel,
exactly.
You basically might as well restart your channel at that point.
Yeah, you can't go from tech to basket weaving and think anybody that was interested in tech is going to stick around for your channel.
Well, you can go from Linux to ranting about roads, as we've seen some Linux YouTubers do.
Well, that's true.
But he's a special exception.
Well, I suspect many of his viewers are probably there for that content rather than the Linux content.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense at this point.
Yeah, because let's face it, there's only so much of an audience you're going to get talking about Linux. It's still kind of a niche topic, right?
I think
we would like to think we're more important than we are, but at the end of the day, we're that 2%. Linux is still that 2%. So.
Yeah, if we just go with dedicated Linux, I think the biggest channel is Level 1 Linux. I think. Because Chris Titus is more general computing at this point. I think Level 1 Linux is going to be the biggest.
Yeah, probably. I actually don't have my browser open, but...
Yeah, Level 1 Linux is 156k, but Wendell is a special exception as well.
Yeah. Do they post much to that channel anymore? I used to check it out every now and then, the Level 1 Linux channel.
Once every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
But because all of the videos they do are on, like, really big things, like getting graphics cards working on Linux, or things like that, all of the videos hit really well.
Well, I mean, they focus, on the hardware side of things.
But they don't only have that many videos, only like 72, which the only reason that...
It's still a lot.
It is a lot, but yeah.
Right. Just because you have 1,000 videos, Brody, doesn't mean 72 videos. This is some small amount.
I don't have 1,000 yet. I'm getting close to it. I think I'm at a bit over 600, 500. I don't remember the exact number. Too many. Too many is the answer.
Yeah, I'm probably closing in on 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you make a video every day, you do notice that you do start to improve way quicker. That's sort of the reason why I started doing it. Because there is a lot of stuff I want to talk about. People will say things like, oh, Linux isn't a content machine. That's a meme that's going around right now. Linux isn't a content machine. But there's a lot more than some people seem to think.
And when people talk about Linux too, what exactly do they mean when they say Linux? Do they mean Linux, the kernel? They mean the good news / Linux operating system? Do they mean all the other stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of developers and programmers use Linux, but are we talking about programming? Or are we talking about databases? Are we talking about MySQL databases? Like there's so much to Linux.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a general term. Like you got to narrow it down.
Yeah.
What topic are we actually?
Well, I haven't really touched on anything outside of like the user space, really. I'm mainly talking about the sort of software people use. But yeah, if I had branched out of that, even in the user space, I've still got myself in kind of a niche in here. I haven't really talked about, say, audio production or firewalls or anything like that, really. So even with what I've done, I'm still in this very small part of Linux. But I've noticed when I do branch out, those videos still do fairly well. So it's not like I have locked myself into this niche.
Well, I mean, if there's no chance I would ever run out of content as far as ideas for content, because it's such a broad term, Linux. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I could comfortably make another 1,000 videos talking about one piece of software.
Yeah, Emacs.
Like I could easily. Matter of fact, I could easily make 1,000 videos just on org mode in Emacs. Just the org mode.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that you're going to run out of content because of Linux, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And if you do talk about general software, if you go to places like, say, Reddit, there are people releasing new pieces of software every single day.
Every day. Oh yeah, they email me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey man, have you checked out this distro? Have you checked out this command line tool? And I always respond to them, hey, did you write this? Because I don't think this is just a random person. Just email me and say, hey man, I wrote this. What do you think?
I've gotten a few of those, and some of them actually are pretty good. But yeah, if you want me to advertise it, if it's a good piece of software, I will. But come on, we know what this transaction is.
Yeah, just be upfront about it.
But I don't get as many of those emails as you do. Most of my video topics come from Reddit, so I have, I think, like 6 subreddits where you get reasonable content. I stick them in an RSS feed and then just filter out the garbage, basically.
Yeah, there's a couple of dozen subreddits that I follow a little bit. Some of them are really good as far as good information, especially if you want Linux help. There's a couple of really nice support subreddits. Linux for Noobs is really good.
Yeah,
Linux
definitely.
Questions is really good. Of course, I'm also following r/command line, r/vim, r/emacs, r/bash, and several others.
Yeah, I've noticed it a couple of times. I will go and record a video, and then the day after, you've already released the video. It's like, okay, we're clearly getting topics from the same place if this is happening.
Yeah, depending on what some of the stuff we do is a little weird.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's unusual that we come across the same things, but more general topics, you will often see like 10 or 15 guys make the same video within a week.
Like if
it's a big discussion.
Like if Torvalds does something big, obviously every Linux YouTuber is going to talk about it. Like it's always funny when someone says, "Oh, you're stealing this topic from someone." It's like, yes, I am. Like all these other people.
Well, I can understand, especially when like some of the bigger topics where you have 15, 20 guys talking about the same thing. Now
Mm.
they're not copying each other. They're all, giving their opinions or their thoughts on things. But still, if you're subscribed to a bunch of people and they're all making videos about this one topic that you don't care about,
Yeah.
me, the consumer, would be a little frustrated. Hey, could you talk about something different?
For sure, yeah.
Which I've taken this into consideration a little bit in the past when I know a story is going to be big and I know there's going to be a ton of other people talking about it. I typically avoid those now.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair.
I don't think you miss out. I don't think you miss out on anything by avoiding some of those big topics, because with so many people also talking about it, when you're doing something different, sometimes people are looking for something different during those periods of time.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah, especially, yeah. No, I can definitely see that. I like to cover those ones just because I like to have my take on whatever it is be on my channel. When it's something where it's just like, okay, everyone's take is going to be exactly the same, I typically avoid them. But if I can add something of value to it, like I'm not going to talk about, hey, look, there's a new version of Ubuntu. Like, it's Ubuntu. Like, everyone's going to have basically the same take. It's newer GNOME. It's newer Ubuntu. Okay. We can all agree this is probably better than it was before. Usually.
Well, with GNOME, that's questionable.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I'll give you that. But
I need to stop. People already call me a GNOME hater, so.
I don't know. I enjoy talking.
I have a very special relationship with GNOME.
Explain. I don't think I know about this relationship.
Well, I've made a lot of videos very critical about the GNOME project.
Oh, you cut out for a bit there. That was weird.
Well, I did move the mic. Maybe that was my fault. I was saying I made a lot in the past about...
Discord does not like you speaking. It's only when you're saying this sentence. Maybe GNOME's trying to silence you.
Is GNOME trying to censor me? Am I being canceled?
Okay, I think we're good now.
All right. Yeah, that's GNOME trying to cancel me because I've been very critical of some of their politics involved with their organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes
and they
sense.
Don't like me. And because I've made videos about this and stated this publicly, other people are also getting on them. They don't like anybody putting a spotlight on them like that. So
that's fair. Well, everyone needs a bit of a spotlight on them to show off the things that they probably shouldn't be doing.
Absolutely.
I think that's another reason why this is less negative in this way, but that's part of the reason I do like covering these random little projects, because a lot of the time it's just going to be like one or two people working on it, and when you just have such a small number of people, typically you design it in a way that makes sense for you, but not for other people who are going to use it. And that's a problem I've noticed when I do programming work as well, that if I don't have someone looking at it, it's not going to make any sense to anyone else trying to use it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's just human nature. We tend to do that with everything, not just programming. If you build something yourself as for a purpose specifically for you, or whatever it is, or as a musician, if I write a piece of music and I know I'm the one that's going to be performing it, I'm going to make sure I can actually perform it. Right? I'm going to make sure everything that needs to happen in that I can do. Or if I'm writing it for somebody else, I may do things a little differently. So you always tailor things to yourself.
Yeah,
and let everybody else figure it out. So.
Speaking of music, you've had some interesting musical takes on your channel, like your recorder videos, for example.
Yeah, but it was weird because when I do, especially in the early days of the channel, when I did live streams, people always wanted to hear me play, because I talk about having some degrees in music. Oh, play us something. So yeah, I've got some videos of me playing the recorder and the trombone, and got a duet with Richard Stallman singing the Free Software song.
You do have a duet with Richard Stallman. That is,
and I have my freestyle rap video as well.
I did not know you had that one. What was that one called?
It's one of the Actually, just search for freestyle rap and it'll probably come up. It was a early video on the channel, but the kids loved it.
Okay, that's probably why I didn't see it. I don't think I found your channel till... Okay, here we go. Freestyle rap and the Blue Yeti mic. I didn't find your channel until like maybe a year and a half ago or so, I reckon. Not sure. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'll definitely I'll check that out, and I might leave a link to it in the description if anyone wants to see it for themselves.
If you want to see somebody rap about Linux, it's pretty cringe. So.
Yeah, well, judging by just your regular talking in the older videos, you weren't as confident as you are now, so I can't imagine the rap's going to be any better.
I actually had somebody do a response rap video to my rap when I put that out. They've since taken their response rap video down, but it was pretty funny. We had an East Coast, West Coast beef kind of thing, like Tupac and Biggie.
Oh, God.
Because in that rap video, I'll just go ahead and give you a preview. At one point, I'm rapping about tiling window managers, and I talk bad about the i3 window manager. And this other Linux YouTuber, he loves i3, so he was going to make a response video about it. It just got silly.
I see why this got taken down. I can't imagine this was good at all.
I was like, it didn't end good with Tupac and Biggie. It's not going to end good with us. If we're going to have this X-Monad versus i3 beef, I mean, where's it going to lead? Bodies in the streets? So
you're what window manager are you running now? Because I know you were running X-Monad for a while.
Well, actually, at this second, I am in X-Monad because it was the one I ended up in when I ended my video earlier, when I was recording a video. I actually logged into about 10 or 12 different window managers today. This just happens to be the one I'm on doing this. It could have been any other window manager.
What one do you mainly use right now? Is it X-Monad?
That tends to be the one I spend most of my time in these days. But it changes.
Because I know people in my Discord were talking about how you finally embraced Emacs with EXWM.
Yep.
And they knew it would eventually happen.
Recently. Yep. Well, that's an easy one to get into. As far as if you know Emacs, it's just full screen Emacs. That's all it is. So your window management is basically doing vertical and horizontal splits in Emacs.
Right.
That works. So everything's just in an Emacs buffer. I launch Firefox, it's in an Emacs buffer.
So Linux finally becomes your Emacs bootloader.
That's essentially what it is. All you need to do is create a X sessions file and make sure the executable is Emacs. That's it. And make sure you have a plugin installed called EXWM.
I still haven't looked at Emacs. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and just people keep being like, oh, you should try out Doom Emacs, you try out this version. I'm like, okay, at some point I have to do this, but I just haven't found the time where I can actually sit down. Like with Emacs, it's something I want to sit down and properly try out before I do any videos on it.
That would take some time.
Yeah. Because I don't want to have a repeat of my early Vim videos where I had no idea how to use Vim, really.
Well, I was going to compare it to Vim. Vim is so much easier to get into because you can literally go through the Vim tutor in about 30 minutes and have a pretty good idea of at least the basics of Vim. You're not going to have any idea what's going on in Emacs just by going through and reading some documentation. You're going to have to spend some time in it. Part of the problem is they're not really the same kind of program.
Well, yeah.
Vim is really a text editor,
yeah,
where Emacs is really something different. Yeah.
Because you can, as you said, you can have Firefox embedded in Emacs. Like that's not a thing a text editor does. No,
Vim is really just a eLisp interpreter.
I mean Emacs
for you to write.
You said Vim is an Emacs.
Yeah, Emacs. Yeah. Oh, well, that would be great if Vim was, but that's not the case. Although I guess now they're trying to do it with Lua and NeoVim.
So give it like 5 years and Bram will eventually bring it to the regular Vim as well?
Probably. because nobody likes Vim script. I think
Hmm.
everybody can agree with that.
Yeah, Vim script is.
But yeah, Emacs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emacs is just an eLisp interpreter. You write eLisp scripts, and it executes them. That's all it is. Just the fact that it has an editor built into it. Not a great one, maybe, depending on who you are. Not everybody likes the standard GNU Emacs key bindings in Emacs, but because it's so extensible and you're essentially writing your own programs anyway, the evil mode layer in Emacs, which gives you all the Vim key bindings and Vim modes, is almost spot on. Like there are very few things in Vim that you can't do in Emacs evil mode, which is completely different than like the Vim emulation you get and other editors where you find all kinds of things that they just can't do.
Yeah, sure.
Emacs, you can actually make it emulate Vim. You can make it emulate the old ed text editor as well, like the line editor. I think you can even make it emulate Cocoon, although I'm not positive on that. Like people have written a lot of emulation plugins to make Emacs mimic other editors.
I think the only program that actually does Vim emulation properly is VS Code, and that's because it's not doing Vim emulation with the plugin. It's running NeoVim headless in the background.
Right. I've heard people say the same thing about VS Code, that it does Vim emulation really good. I've never actually used VS Code, but I have heard they do Vim good.
Yeah, well, I started programming with Eclipse, and then I slowly moved my way down to Vim. So I've used Eclipse, I've used the JetBrains suite, I've used Sublime, Atom, VS Code, and eventually made my way over here. And when you're just doing scripting languages, there's no reason not to be using Vim. I get it if you're doing like C++ or something like that, why you might want an IDE. That's perfectly valid. You get a lot of really useful tools along with it. But if you're just doing, say, Python, even JavaScript, I know we can talk about JavaScript for a while. If you want to take a really easy job and do web development, JavaScript is great to learn. Or you're doing like shell scripting, you don't need an IDE for that.
Well, I'm not a programmer by trade, but I have done some programming most of my adult life as far as just hobby, doing some basic web development stuff, really since the mid-90s, since the birth of the web. And even back then, I learned to do everything on Notepad, Windows Notepad. God. And that was the only text editor I used for anything, whether I was writing HTML or PHP or JavaScript or whatever. I did everything in Notepad until I switched to Linux. It was the only thing I ever used.
That's terrifying.
And I don't understand how I ever got by with just Notepad. Because once I got to Linux, and there's so many fantastic text editors, even gedit in GNOME, like it's so much better than Notepad.
I think I've opened up Nano once, and even Nano is better than Notepad.
I'm actually surprised Microsoft still ships Notepad as Notepad. Like they've never really extended it in any serious way.
Well, they could just always drop it and just ship with Notepad++.
Yes, but isn't that the licensing might be an issue? Because
I'm not too sure.
It's under a free license, and I want to say it may be GPL. Not everybody, especially with proprietary software, likes bundling GPL software.
Okay.
I know Mac OS has a serious problem with the GPL. That's why they switched from Bash to ZSH, is because GNU Bash obviously is GPL. They're scared of that license.
Well, okay, then
the viral effect of that.
I guess they could always just ship with a stripped down version of VS Code then.
Yeah, that would work.
Like, it doesn't need to be a code editor. They could just strip out a lot of the code features and just make it like basically a simple editor.
Yeah, I mean, it's their own editor. Actually, they have two editors because they have Atom too.
They own Atom.
Well, Atom was created by GitHub, and Microsoft now owns GitHub.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, so that they actually have two very similar editors. Yeah. And they actually, when they first bought GitHub, they said they were going to maintain both because the people that were using Atom were kind of concerned. Like, are you going to keep developing this? Oh, yeah.
Microsoft loves open source in a really weird way. They love it because it's good for them to be able to outsource stuff. Like, we can outsource our bug reports, we can outsource this development, but when it's very important to them, they are not... They don't like open source at all.
Well, it's all about business for them.
Yeah.
What can they get out of it, rather than what they can put into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And now the conversation has stopped.
Well, since you paused to take a drink, I figured I'd finish my last bit of coffee here.
Yeah, I've got this this Camelback bottle. I'm not sponsored by Camelback, but hey, Camelback, if you want to give me some money, I'll take it.
And make sure you check the box in YouTube that this is a paid advertisement video.
Oh, the paid advertisement is always a weird one because, the video I uploaded this morning. So I don't know if it showed up in your YouTube feed or anything.
I got a notification about it.
I'll just show people on the screen because so a while back I did a video on Vivaldi, talking about the way it's licensed, and they liked my video, so they decided to send me a box of merch. And yeah, the thumbnail I made for this.
They send you a hat or a shirt or something cool.
They sent me a hat, 5 pens, 5 blue pens, 10 stickers, a really ugly shirt. Like, it's a grey shirt with like a white Vivaldi logo on it. On the back, I don't know why. And I think there's a postcard in there as well, and that's about it. But I'll take some free merch if I can get a video out of it. But the weird thing with the paid promotion things, I didn't sign anything for that, so I wasn't really sure if like, is this a paid promotion? Because the description's like, if a third party sends you items, then there's a paid promotion. But I wasn't told to say anything positive about them. They didn't even say make a video or anything about it. They just said, here's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, because typically when people are doing paid like product placement in their videos, like, you know, Linus Tech Tips or somebody like that, somebody is actually like, they contact Linus and Linus gives them a quote, pay me this amount of money and I'll talk about the product. Like, there's actual transaction that goes on. It's kind of an understanding. We're paying you this money. Here's what we want. We want this video. We'd like for you to say these things, or at least talk about it a little bit. Because I don't know, like, people send me stuff occasionally too, little trinkets, or sometimes I get people contacting me about real products, and can I send you something? Yeah, sure. And that's the end of the conversation. I might make a video about it, I might not. If I do, I'm in no way obligated to say good things about it. I may trash it. So
I think I'd put it in
would I check that box? I probably wouldn't. Unless there was money involved, or unless there was some kind of agreement.
I think it goes into the same category as like receiving a review unit if you're someone like Linus Tech Tips again. Like, they will receive like CPUs from Intel or GPUs from Nvidia and that. But I don't think you'd have to declare that as a paid promotion, because that's just, here, have this so you can do your job, and then usually they want it sent back, but not always. Sometimes you get to keep the card.
Yeah, I mean, that's different, because they just want somebody to make a video about it. They don't care if it's good or bad necessarily. They just want people talking about their product. So,
I don't know. I think the only other thing I've made a video on that someone sent me was when Library sent out... you probably got one when they sent out the LBC USB sticks. Yeah. It's still kind of worthless, but maybe one day it'll be worth a lot. That'd be nice.
But you know what? That's weird, because that actually is money. But they didn't send it to you for any reason.
Yeah.
Regarding your YouTube channel. They just send it to you. Matter of fact, they don't even care if you're on YouTube. Right? This library sending it. So I don't know. I wouldn't have checked that box for that either.
Well, also because you don't actually know... It could be worth nothing by the time you can actually access it. That's the thing. So really, you've got a USB stick. That's
true. Yeah.
It's a cool looking USB
until it's
stick.
Actually until it's in your bank account. Then technically they haven't sent you anything.
I think right now it's worth like $4,000 or something, which isn't nothing, but I would like the price of LBC to go up. Would be nice.
Yeah, I was checking the price. I was checking the prices a couple of days ago, and yeah, I want to say like 100 grand of LBC right now. Yeah, it's worth $3 grand, maybe a little more.
I was going by US, Australian prices, so yeah, it'll be a bit less US then, because our currency is monopoly money.
Yeah,
which is good for me getting
it's definitely
paid.
Worth something.
Oh yeah, for sure. My car is about $4,000, so.
Well, there you go. You can buy a new car.
I need one of those because my car's
that USB stick.
It's breaking down a bit. But
yeah, I could use one too.
I think I've had this car since I first got my license, though, so it's had a good run, like 3 or so years.
I'm not a car person as far as like I'll buy a car and run it until it completely falls apart.
Yeah.
I've never been one of those people. I'd buy a car, drive it for 2-3 years, and then go trade it in for the next new thing. It's just such a waste of money. I just drive them until they don't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got lots of friends who are car guys, and I'm like, oh, it's a car. It gets me from point A to point B. That's all it needs to do.
Yeah, that's all it's about.
Like, I get being...
For me, it's not a status. It's not a status symbol. I'm not trying to pick up chicks in my car. I may be trying to drive to a chick's house in my car, but
I do understand being like into a car though, because like I get it. Like I get being like really involved in like a community of people. Like that's the same sort of idea as being involved in Linux as well. I understand why people are interested in cars. I just have no interest in it myself.
Yeah, I've never been interested in that kind of thing. Never been interested in the mechanical side of cars. As I've had friends like that. They love like working on engines and things like that. I was like, that seems boring to me.
I'm just gonna go tweak my window manager.
Yeah. Let me go inside and write something on Notepad.
And they'll have the exact same response to you, like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Well, I mean, look where it got me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing quite well for yourself on YouTube. I don't have exact numbers, but I can estimate numbers of how much your channel's making, judging by your views and how much I make.
Well, with YouTube, it's weird because the revenue fluctuates wildly, but everything about it fluctuates wildly. Views, I think they tweak their algorithms often. Because from month to month, there are some things that just don't make any sense. I'll have a month where I get really high views and don't make that much as far as the revenue will be down. That's like, that doesn't make any sense because more views, more ads are being run. Within the next month, it'll be a down month as far as views. I'll make twice as much money as far as the AdSense revenue. Like, there's something really weird that's going on with YouTube, especially in the last year. This has really been in the last year. I've noticed it. The first couple of years, you could set your watch to it. I know exactly how many views I was going to get every month, how much money I was going to make. But this year, it's just a roller coaster.
I did notice something weird back in until May or so. My channel started dipping, but so did every single Linux channel. And now they've all started to pick back up again. And I have no idea what happened there because my videos were the same as always. I'm guessing YouTube just stopped pushing them for a while. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, there was something weird going on around May into the summer where it seemed like views were down, but oddly enough, it didn't touch revenue.
No, revenue was exactly the same. I had no idea what was going on.
Is there a problem in their reporting as far as counting the views? Maybe I don't know.
There have definitely been a few of those this year. I think it was a couple of days ago. I actually reported this to YouTube support. They gave me a nonsense answer because it's YouTube support. On that day, it said I had 12,000 views, which was more views than I had the entire past 2 days. I was like, okay, this obviously isn't right. I went and reported it to them, and they're like, oh yeah, sometimes our view counting is slightly delayed and doesn't show the accurate numbers. Like, this isn't slightly delayed. Your number's double what I normally have. It's fixed itself now.
If it was a day last week, I had the same thing happen.
Okay, yeah.
Recently?
Yeah.
Yep. Because I don't check my analytics like all the time. But I logged in and I noticed I had the biggest day in the history of my channel for views that day.
Yeah.
And I did not make a video. So that's really unusual. I didn't put out any new content. It's like, where in the hell did all these views come from?
Yeah, I was excited for a moment, and then I was like,
So I didn't have to email YouTube support because I already knew this is broken. As soon as I saw that number, it's like, that's not right.
Yeah. Because your number would have been more like, if mine was 12,000, yours would probably be in like 40 or 50,000.
Yeah, it told me I had 60 or 70,000 views that day. I was like, there's no way.
Hey, it's possible maybe one of your old videos just suddenly got boosted. Like, you have done a lot of videos that could obviously be boosted out of nowhere, like random things like an Arch install video, for example.
I do have videos that every now and then will all of a sudden jump up in views that I made a year or two ago, but that will be like all of a sudden 2,000-3,000 people watch that video in a day, not tens of thousands. Like, that would be very unusual. Because for that to happen, YouTube would have to be heavily pushing that onto people as far as suggestions, and why would they do that for me? Right?
Well, yeah, there's obviously a lot of people in the Linux sphere, but it is still kind of a tight niche. Like, I could list out most of the bigger channels that exist, even a lot of the really small channels, because there's really not many of them. There's more than there were when you started, but it's still fairly small.
Yep, I would agree. I would say I probably know most folks that do any kind of real Linux content, but because there's always new people cropping up, every now and then I'll come across somebody that's been making videos 6 months or a year and maybe has a few thousand followers. For whatever reason, I hadn't stumbled across them until then. As far as your viewers, though, you would be surprised how many people that are going to watch this that are subscribed to either me or you and didn't know about the other. I guarantee you, most of the people that watch this will not know about one of us.
I feel like it's going to be more heavily slanted towards one direction, but
it doesn't matter if I was doing this collab with somebody that had about the same number of subscribers. Most of the people watching that would be there for one of those people and will never have heard about the other, just because most people don't subscribe to like every single YouTuber that does the topic I want to learn a little bit about Linux. I'm going to subscribe to 2 or 3 channels to learn about it. I'm not going to subscribe to 100 Linux channels. That's not what most people do.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've got my small group of people I tend to watch. I don't watch much Linux content anymore. I find it kind of difficult to watch. I've talked about this before. It always feels like I'm just watching my own video. I'm just like, okay, here's what I could do here, here's what I could do there. I don't find it relaxing to watch Linux videos anymore. But
yeah, especially if you make a lot of content. And for me, I spend so many hours making content. Like, my videos typically are going to take, 4 to 6 hours for me to record and edit and everything. I make, typically probably 5 or 6 videos a week. I'm sitting in front of this computer a lot. And then when I'm done, okay, let me continue to sit in front of this computer and pull up YouTube and watch videos about people making videos about the same topics I talk about. I just want to blow my brains out at that point. Like, I can't do that. Typically when I'm done here, I step away from this computer. I got to get away. So.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Sorry?
If I'm on YouTube, I'm going to watch something so not tech related, like the furthest thing from technology. I'm going to watch cute cat videos, something just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to ask you what you watch when you do get a chance to watch it, but yeah, I get the feeling. I typically watch skit comedy. So it's just I do occasionally watch like Linus Tech Tips. I do like the general tech stuff because that's not really it's not anywhere near as related to what I'm doing as going and watching, say, like, here's this video on X Monad, for example. Like, those videos, it's like, No, I'm not doing that. Unless it's something where I'm like, I need to know this to do something. Like, I'm gonna maybe watch a video on like MySQL or something like that because I want to know how to do something with MySQL. But
Well,
that's
those
not.
videos, yeah.
Mm,
Typically, a lot of the content you do, and a lot of the content I do, are for people looking for solutions to a problem. They're not there to be entertained.
yeah.
So,
I do try to make, obviously, still try to make the videos entertaining in some way, but not the same sort of way that you would in like a skit comedy, for example.
well, every now and then you do have to do something different. Every now and then you got to do a little.
Or you're getting censored again. Discord is really shit.
I wonder if it shouldn't be a problem with my network here at the house. I have issues.
I'm gonna
Here
blame it
lately.
on mine. Australia's still in like 2010 with its internet, so I wouldn't expect much.
Well, we'll just have to go with it.
Yeah, it's been fine. So
What you could do is just dub in my voice later
I can do.
with another voice.
I'll just find some random voice clips of you and just put that in there. That'll work.
Let's do a deep fake.
Those are getting scarily good. Like I'm
Yes, they
worried
are.
when people start using them for things besides memes.
Yeah, and I came across one the other day. You're talking about the stuff I do watch on YouTube, just because it was a deep fake of a movie that I love. One of my favorite movies is a comedy called Step Brothers. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
It's ringing a bell, but
Is that Will Ferrell that's in that movie? If you've never seen that movie, it's just absolutely hilarious. You should definitely watch it. Somebody did a deep fake redoing that movie. Except instead of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly doing it, they do it with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Doing the exact scenes. Some of the funny scenes, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, someone over on Library, he has a channel where he just does deep fake videos. One of his early videos was putting Luke's face onto mine. And it was when the beard was short. Obviously the beard does get in the way, but it still looked surprisingly good. And I'm worried. I'm worried for the future.
They didn't make you bald, I hope.
No, they didn't make me bald. I have seen pictures of Luke with hair, and it's weird.
Well, people that are actually balding, yeah, you have to shave your head because it does start looking pretty bad once you have some patching going on.
Yeah. So why do you actually shave your head anyway? I don't think I've heard you say that.
Okay, well, this was about 17, 18 years ago. At the time, I was in graduate school. I was working on a master's degree, and I was flat broke. And I was waiting on some student loans to come in, eating ramen noodles every day, and I couldn't afford a haircut. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to cut my own hair. So for 2 or 3 months, every time I needed a haircut, every 3 weeks or so, I would just take some electric shears, with the proper guards and cut my own hair. And it looked all right. After a while, man, I'm tired of cutting my own hair. Let's just shave. And then I just stuck with it.
All right.
I'm never paying for a haircut. I'm never paying for a haircut again. If I can save that $14, $15 a month, hey.
So at this point, how do you actually keep it short? Do you just like razor over it, or what do you do?
Yeah, just with a razor.
Okay.
Yeah. All you need is a good razor. So not a single blade Bic. Do not put that on your head. But anything with 4 or 5 blades, you're good.
I wouldn't put a single blade Bic anywhere near my face anyway.
No, it will chew you up. But the hair on your head is really thick.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, mine, every time I go get a haircut, they're like, hey, do you want to have your hair thinned? Your hair's way too thick. So I don't know how well that would go for me without really getting it as short as possible before I did anything.
And I've been doing this, almost 20 years now. But I remember when I first shaved my head, it was, I don't know, October, November of that year, starting to get cold, winter time here. And you would be surprised how cold your head gets without hair. You don't realize how much insulation that
makes
hair
sense.
provides.
Well,
the other thing is in the summer, you burn really quickly.
I can understand it because I used to actually have really long hair, like down past my shoulders. Just it was a weird me wanting to rebel after high school thing. And when I got rid of that, I realized how much lighter my head was and how much I actually felt how like the temperature was. Like in summer, it was really hot having that hair. The second I got rid of it, it was perfectly fine.
Yeah. There's another benefit though when you start shaving your head is people often mistake you for a cop.
Ah.
That can be a good thing. That could also be a bad thing in some situations.
Yeah, no, I'd maybe wear a beanie in some places.
Especially, most of the time, especially before the lockdown, I was working all the time. I was professionally dressed. And if I'm wearing a nice shirt and tie with this haircut, oh yeah, definitely a cop. You can tell people look at you, they start moving away, especially if they're doing something shady.
Hey, at least it clears the path for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember years ago, I was working at a liquor store. A liquor store / tobacco shop, cigar shop.
Yeah.
A rather large place. And I was the manager there. And I remember one night, this girl comes through our drive-thru. And we have a little drive-thru window. I open the window. And she wanted some cigarillos to take the tobacco out, of course, and put in whatever herb she was wanting to smoke. Typically what they do with cigarillos. Anyway, she pulls through the drive-thru. Hey, I want a 3-pack of cigarillos. She looks at me and goes, no, never mind. And she drives off. And I already know. It's like, I'm not a cop. I don't care what you're going to do. I don't care what you're going to smoke.
Oh. Yeah, but at least when it's good for you, it's good for you. But
yeah.
Yeah,
that was an interesting place to work, that particular liquor store. You had all kinds of drunks and crackheads and meth heads. I remember one night I was at the store and this meth head came in right as I was about to close. It was like midnight on a Saturday. And he came in and asked me, hey, was I ready to go? I got everything shut down. I'm like, why is he asking me this? And then he goes, well, I want you to know I'm now the owner of this place. And he's twitching and you tell he'd been smoking something. I was like, you're the owner of this place? He goes, yeah. I recently found the biggest diamond in the world up under the sands of Iraq. It's the largest diamond that was ever discovered. I'm now the richest man in the world. He goes, and with that money, I purchased the Dallas Cowboys, the LA Lakers, and this store. And he said this like it was fact. And I looked at this guy, and normally I would run people like this out immediately, but it was so funny. I wanted to hear where the story was going. So I just let him keep talking. And he's like, now, nothing's going to change just because I'm the owner. Nothing's going to change. Just keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. He goes, the only difference is I'm thinking about bringing on Taylor Swift as a manager. So I had this very large wood stick, really, behind the counter. And when he said Taylor Swift, that's when I grabbed it. And then I walked around. He saw I had this stick in my hand, and he headed straight for the door. And he's running to the door. He gets out the door. I turn around, and when he sees me turn around, he puts his head back in the door. He says, "You're effing fired."
Oh God! Yeah, I haven't.
That meant it fired me. You probably never been fired from a job by a meth.
No, that would be a new one for me. Yeah, I haven't worked any liquor store jobs, but right now I'm working in a supermarket in a not the richest of areas, and you get some interesting characters coming through. But yeah, God, there's mainly crackheads, and they're fun characters when they're nice.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Now I remember one time at that same liquor store, somebody parked their car there,
Mhm.
and I came inside and bought something from me. I forget what he,
Mhm.
but you can tell he was probably on crack or meth or something. He was tweaked out of his mind. And then I see him leave, and he starts walking down the street. I'm like, what's he doing with his car? And seriously, he was so high, he forgot he had drove his car there. So he's walking to whatever hotel or motel, wherever he's staying, that area of town. That car stayed there for 2-3 days. And then I realized this dude forgot. He probably was so tweaked out of his mind, he forgot even the store. He has no idea where his car. He left his door unlocked, though.
Oh God.
So I put it in neutral and I roll it to the side of the parking lot where it's not right by the front door because I don't know how long this car is going to be there. 8 days later, he comes back and he comes in the store mad. And it's like, who took my car? I'm like we stole his car. It's like,
oh, was the car still in the parking lot, or had it been moved at that point? Like,
yeah, it was still there.
it just wasn't where he left it.
He thinks somebody stole his car, drove it to the liquor store, and
Oh God.
he didn't remember actually getting in his car and coming over there.
Fun times, yeah. This is what I like doing night fill because I'm not directly interacting with the customers. I can imagine it would be real weird if I was working on the checkouts.
Yeah. Well, when you're constantly checking out people, you meet some interesting people, which can be fun.
It does
spend
sound
a lot
like
of time working retail.
Mm.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time working in retail, and I don't mind actually working the register. Sometimes it's nice chatting with people. You meet people from all walks of life. Some of them have interesting stories. Of course, you do have to deal with the occasional drunk or occasional idiot, but you have to learn. One of the rules in life is people are who they are, and you can't change it. You getting mad is not going to change who they are.
Yeah.
Like if somebody comes up to you and they're drunk, you getting mad at them is not going to sober them up.
Unless you
somebody comes up to you.
Unless you start putting on a cop voice, then it might.
Yeah.
For you, that might work.
I have played the cop a couple of times when it was advantageous.
Just pretend like you're an undercover working the checkouts.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we were actually planning to do this, I wasn't expecting you to say, "Oh yeah, let's just use Discord," because you usually use Jitsi when you do your live streams and actually like chat with your patrons, don't you?
That's what I've been using. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised you suggested Discord.
Well, I didn't suggest it, but you said you use it. I have it installed.
Yeah. Okay.
I keep Discord around. I have Zoom installed too.
Okay.
A lot of people love using Zoom, so especially if you asked me to be on your show here, I'm not gonna tell you no. Use the software I want to use. No, I'm fine with whatever.
Well, I always leave it up to the guest anyway, because sometimes they just don't have Discord in the first place.
Yeah, Jitsi would have been fine. One of the Matrix clients, like Element, would have been fine too. Isn't it kind of like a Discord clone too? I think they do video chat as well.
I think there's video chat. I've recently started using Matrix. I've actually got my Discord server bridged over to Matrix now, because there's some people who've been like, "Oh, I want to be in your chat, but I don't want to use Discord." I'm like, okay, sure, I'll set up Matrix. That's fine.
And to be honest, I wouldn't for my patrons chats. I use Jitsi, but if I was just letting anybody join a conference, I would probably use Zoom because you can actually password protect that thing, and it's where Jitsi is a little scandalous that anybody can join and can immediately just start kicking everybody else.
Yes, that was a fun time during that live stream we tested it.
And I knew it was possible to do that because I've had that done before in Jitsi, before that video. Yeah.
Yeah, there were people in the comment section of that live stream being like, "Oh, Brody's here, but he's acting real weird." Like, yeah, I'm not good at dealing with just random people. Like, it's just a room full of people I've never spoken to.
Well, that particular room might have been random people that I've never spoken to for that particular one, because it was.
I'm
going to try out Jitsi. So I'm going to try out Jitsi. Anybody can join, like literally. I didn't say patrons can join, or I didn't try to password protect the room, or try to, have anybody kind of filter who could come in. Anybody. Next thing you know, we had, like 30 people on this web call, and then you got that one guy who all of a sudden starts banning everybody.
Yeah, that was actually really dangerous for you to do, because he could have just played something that would have got your channel like nuked.
Well, I mean, I'm still actually recording everything. I mean, he could have put something on screen, but it would have been there just like this.
Yeah, well, I'd still worry about putting that up on my YouTube channel, even if you weren't going to archive it then.
Yeah.
But hey, it's your channel. If you want to risk it.
Yeah, that was just a test stream anyway. Yeah, I don't think it might be on my channel. I probably deleted it.
I wouldn't have a clue. I didn't bother to go look back at it, but Jitsi does seem like a cool piece of software for sure.
Yeah, it's not bad for what it is. We need better moderating controls, obviously.
Yeah, but if it's just people you trust to some extent, it seems fine.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't expect your patrons to start, like, deleting everyone from the chat.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that crowd, right? And most of those guys, like, they're regulars. A lot of them have been patrons for a while. They join me every month. Like, I know these people. It's not just some random guy that shows up and then decides he's taking over the room.
So what made you actually want to make a Discord server? Because you don't use Discord yourself. I'm guessing, did people just ask you for it or something like that? Or
yeah, people asked early on in the channels, like right at the beginning. So I made one, and I kind of told people, like, I don't use this stuff. Not just the fact that Discord's proprietary software, but I don't actually just sit around and chat.
Yeah,
that's not me. Like, and when I'm at my computer, I'm working. And I don't want any distractions, so I don't want the notifications, because I'll just keep getting the little bell thingy ringing all the time. So I don't hang out in IRC, I don't hang out in Discord, I don't hang out in any of this stuff, but people, hey man, create these rooms. So I've got one. I'm never there. I go months at a time without logging into them. And typically when I log into them, I'm still not there to chat. In my Discord, I'm here to chat with you. They see my name in the room, but I'm not actually.
Yeah, have you actually got yourself set to online? Oh, you do. So yeah, you actually will be online in. Oh, you're not even on because you haven't given yourself a role. It doesn't even look like you're online. It's just got Big Pod right at the top.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I won't get a million direct messages. Oh, he's here.
Oh, with that, you can set it to only friends can message you. So I would just do that in case you ever do need to open up Discord.
One of the other reasons I have Discord and a Discord channel is early on in the channel's history, I did some live streams where I would ask the community, my followers and everybody, hey, you want to do a game live stream with me? So we'll play something, like Team Fortress 2 or something on Steam or whatever it happens to be, or we're going to do free and open source games. Sometimes we'll play the first-person shooter, Xenotic. And, of course, we want to chat while we game. Everybody uses Discord, so I have the voice channel in Discord.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. It works well enough. Like, it is proprietary software, but it works well enough for what it is. And Matrix isn't a Discord replacement at this point. I've been using Matrix a bit. It really is lacking. If you think that Jitsi is lacking moderation tools, Matrix is just as bad.
Yeah, I've played with Matrix. I've got it. I've got the Element client installed. Yeah, it's I would worry about how difficult it is to set up. Especially, it's not user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I guess not. Like Discord, anybody can figure out how to use Discord rather quickly. Matrix is not like that.
Like it's fine for the most part. Like the only people I've got on Matrix are the only people who've joined the Matrix server are the ones who really like Matrix anyway. But if I didn't have the Discord server, I don't think everyone would just suddenly migrate over to Matrix.
Well, what I did is I bridged my IRC channel with the Matrix channel, so you're seeing both on Matrix.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because I'm not in either channel.
Yeah, I'm fairly active in my channel, in my Discord server, my Matrix server. But because you're not, I've noticed that there just goes days where there's just no messages at all, and then right now everyone's super active. That's weird. That's a first. But I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, because I literally never open Discord. So yeah, sometimes I'll get messages. Hey man, where you been? You're not ever in your IRC channel. You're never on Discord. And it's like, yeah, I'm not.
I probably shouldn't be chatting as much as I do, but I enjoy chatting with the community. It's fun.
Yeah. And then I've mentioned on my videos many times that I don't hang out in those kinds of places, IRC or Matrix or Discord. It's because when I have some free time, I'm trying to do productive things.
Yeah.
Trying to work on my videos or trying to do this and going to the gym, working out. Or maybe I got some books I want to finally get around to reading. Something educational, productive in some way, and chatting online is not something I enjoy or want to be doing. And when I tell people this, they have gotten upset at me because when I do show up in my Discord or my IRC channel, the people that hang out there on a regular basis and love chatting with other people, like, hey man, it's like, are you sure that this is not productive? Because I've met some real friends. You say that all your online friends are not real friends; they're fake online friends. But I've made some real buddies on IRC. Well, okay, well, that's cool, but I don't know. It's still pixels on a screen. You're not talking to them in real life. Do you have real life friends?
No, I get that. And if you do want to spend your time doing productive things, that makes perfect sense. But I think some people need to realize that people value their time differently. Like, if you really enjoy chatting with people online in chat rooms, that's awesome. If you think that's a great use of your time, cool. Other people want to just get some work done and then, I don't know, go outside and lift some stuff.
Yeah, go get some sunlight, right? Go get some vitamin D.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go for a walk later because it's finally not boiling hot here. It was.
It's starting to turn cool here.
What was it? Okay, I'll give it to you in Fahrenheit. Over the weekend, it was 104 degrees.
Yeah.
Gotta love a Australian December.
Yeah, it's about like our summers here. Although I don't know about the humidity. Is it dry where you're at?
It's pretty dry here. Queensland, it gets really bad though.
Yeah, the humidity here is what's really bad because it'll get up, to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but it'll feel like it's 115.
Yeah, I don't miss.
We're out in the desert. Out in the desert, because I'm out west, in Arizona, California. It'll be well over 100 degrees. And it will actually be comfortable, the dry heat. But it's the sauna here.
Yeah.
Here in Louisiana. It's really brutal.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind a bit of humidity, but when it gets to the point where it's like 80 or 90% humidity, then it's like, okay, this is a bit much at this point.
Yeah, and the other thing in humid climates is if you have any kind of allergies, it can be really bad in the spring. The pollen, it's just everywhere. It's just yellow everywhere. So if you have allergies, would not be a good spot to live.
No. It's pretty bad where I'm at. Nowhere near that bad, but my allergies do play up during spring. It's usually fine after the first couple of weeks. It's just that first little bit of spring where everything's starting to flower. I'm just not used to it after nothing like that for the past 10 months.
Yeah, my allergies sometimes act up at the beginning of the season too.
Hmm. Let's see. We talked about library a bit earlier. So how long have you been on library for at this point?
Uh, I'd have to think about that. It would be at the end of last year.
Okay, so yeah, you joined at the same time I did then.
It would have been, I want to say November, December of last year, right around the new year.
Mm-hmm. So what made you switch to it? Because I got hassled by some of the guys who are really big users of it.
I can't remember at the time because it was still kind of new. There wasn't much to it at the time. There weren't that many channels on it. But people often ask me to mirror my content in other places. And the only other place, I host my own videos in an Amazon S3 bucket.
Yep.
And I do have links to those on my website so people can watch my videos without having to be, and even the YouTube videos. You can watch YouTube videos without having to be on YouTube if you know the right tools to use. I'm not going to say those because our Google overlords will probably give you a strike if I mention some of those tools. But yeah, I'm sure you know some of them.
Yeah, well, one of them's back up on GitHub now, and I did a video on that. And
yeah, I'm glad they're back. Yeah, but it was just I didn't have my videos mirrored on another video platform.
Yeah,
and a lot of the ones people suggested a million different places for me to mirror my content, and the only one that I felt comfortable with was library.
Okay,
it's because you're reading the site and their mission, and obviously it's free and open source software and somewhat decentralized. I wish it was.
Yeah, there's need to federation. Work on that.
Yeah, but like other places, like I didn't want to be on BitChute and DTube and all these other places. I was like, and some of these are not even free and open source platforms anyway. It would be just like being on YouTube. So why don't you just watch my videos on YouTube if you're going to watch them on all that garbage? The library was the one that made the most sense at the time. I really didn't expect it to go anywhere. As far as I doubt anybody will ever use it. And really, it kind of really started exploding in popularity a few months after I joined. I mean, I would say March or April of this year, I really noticed an uptick as far as a lot of content creators were starting to be on the platform, started getting views, started making some LBC.
Yeah.
Like serious LBC. It was worth my time to be online.
Yeah, because I think around that time was when a lot of the Linux guys started joining. I think most of the big Linux channels are on library at this point.
Yeah, I would expect. If you're interested in free and open source software at all,
yeah,
why not?
I think there's one I can think of that's not. He used to be on library. Switch to Linux. No, not switch to Linux. He's on library.
No, I think you're right about the Linux.
Maybe? Yeah,
Tom. I know Tom at Switch to Linux. He said he was getting porn advertisements or something.
Yeah, no, I am. Okay, yeah, I think I've switched to Linux then.
Yeah, so.
Right, I thought I was thinking of the Linux experiment. This is the problem with Linux channels. They all have the same name.
But yeah, Tom, I forget, he's like on their front page or his suggested videos or whatever. One of them was kind of a adultish title.
Yeah.
And he obviously has this Linux channel. He also has a Christian channel where he talks a lot of biblical discussions. And he said he wasn't comfortable with his viewers telling them to go check him out on library, stumble across on the platform. Which is understandable.
I can understand it, yeah, for sure.
Because I've come across some stuff that was a little edgy, to say the least. Maybe it wasn't straight up porn, but I've come across some stuff that, like, man, I can't believe that I'm being suggested this video.
Yeah, the suggestions aren't great. It's definitely better than it was before. Like, early on, you would make, like, a Linux video and then be like, big butt beach girls or something like that. Like, okay. That has nothing to do with what I'm actually making.
But you watched it anyway.
Yes, I watched it anyway. No. No, it's definitely better than it was now, for sure. the way they're doing recommendations is still very rudimentary, so they're not skipping out words like the. So there's a channel called the Moonpad User, so if you put the in your title, his video is probably going to show up in the recommended.
Well, that's a good way to game the system.
It is, and I'm happy people haven't noticed it yet, but they shit, I shouldn't have said it. People are going to know now. It's out there now. I'm not going to edit it.
Make sure I use the in title, description,
the end and
time in the tags. I wonder if just adding that in as a tag, how that would.
I don't know how tags work on library, actually. That's a one I'm real confused about. Because you only get 5 tags.
Yeah, I haven't experimented at all with tags, so I don't know.
I think at this point, tags are still like, if you search for a tag, then you'll see content in that tag. They don't actually affect searching for just a piece of content, like you normally would.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
So, what are you thinking of library at this point? Because I think it's gotten so much better than it was like 3 or 4 months back. Especially now with Odyssey being out.
Well, obviously, they've done a lot since, I joined a year ago or whatever it was, because I don't think you could comment on the videos.
Nope, there was no commenting.
Sign up. There was nothing. Like, there was no liking or disliking. Nope. Like, everything you think about a video platform, it was not there. All I could do was upload a video, and that was it. Whatever happened after that, hey, I've got no moderation controls. There's no analytics. There was nothing.
We still have no moderation controls, and I'm really annoyed with that.
Yeah, because there's no reason why I shouldn't be allowed to delete spam.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't try to combat the spam, you're not going to have a platform for very long. Yes. I understand you're against censorship and all of that, but if you don't allow people to delete the spam, you're going to be overrun by it.
I think where you can come at that from is the platform themselves shouldn't be deleting it, but you should give the creator the ability to delete whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, I've noticed, I don't know if you check your library comments, but I've noticed that there's a couple of people who are doing Bitcoin scams on library now, being like, hey, during COVID, I made this much money doing this thing with Bitcoin. It's like, no, you didn't. And then there's an obvious malware link there.
Well, I've been seeing not that scam, but similar things with Google.
Mm-hmm.
If you check your spam stuff, other than obviously the weird sex bots that are going on every now and then, I'll get one, hey, I made this much money from working at home. Click this link.
YouTube is doing a better job at filtering those. I have noticed they've been clearing them out recently.
I have noticed that too. All of a sudden, they're going straight to the spam, and I don't have to manually go in and.
I think it's because a lot of people started making videos about it again, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we're going to do something now that people have told us, even when they've known about it for 6 months. Sort of how YouTube works. If they don't have to do anything, they're not going to.
Yeah, well, it's $1 billion company. They don't have a lot of resources, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Hold on just a second.
I
am getting blown up here on Discord.
No.
People have noticed I'm online. I don't know a way around it. Oh, well, I'm just going to have to deal with that annoying little ping I get every now and then from somebody messaging. I've gotten like 200 of them in the last 5 minutes. Like, so.
I'll show you afterwards. If you want, I'll show you afterwards how to disable DMs from people who aren't friends.
Well, it won't matter because I won't be back on here until the next time I do one of these.
That's fair. Yeah, I've got one notification right now, but that's fine. Because people know that I'm on Discord most of the time. They can just message me normally.
I mean, it's not a rare sighting. For me being on Discord, it's like a Bigfoot sighting, right?
Yeah, it's usually rarer to see me not on Discord. A lot of the time, I just have it running in the background. I'm not even looking at it. It's open. If you want to message me, go ahead. Let's see. Actually, how long did you want to record for? I'm happy to do how long you want. Because we didn't actually
Well,
talk about
I set aside a block of time for 2 hours.
Okay, cool.
So,
Cool, we're at an
so
hour,
we're
hour and
good
a half
for at
then.
least. Yeah, we're good for at least another 30 minutes, unless
cool.
you run out of things to talk about. But I'm flexible, so just when it's over, just give me a nod, and I'll try to shut up if I'm talking.
I've done a 4-hour episode before, so I think we're good on time. I won't make you sit around for that long, though.
Do people watch that? What was your watch time on that video?
My watch time on the podcast is always terrible, because I don't actually really have organic viewers for the channel. Most of my viewers for it are people I direct over from my main channel.
Yeah.
The audio version actually does have organic viewers, though, weirdly enough.
Well, they're there for that. It's different on the video platform.
Mm.
Serious long form on YouTube, I've known nobody's going to stick around. Like they'll stick around for the first 5 minutes and then they leave. So,
the exception is
even on. Yeah, I was going to say I used to do that. Sometimes I would get long-winded, even on Linux videos, where I would make videos that were 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour long. Sometimes
I remember those.
Back in the and nobody would stick around. Like nobody watched till the end. I know they didn't. So why was I making that video that long? Like, shut the hell up. Say what you want in 10 minutes and get out of there.
Yeah, what do you actually get for your average watch time?
I haven't actually checked it out in a long time. I check out my analytics that often these days. I used to. But then it got to the point where I would look at my analytics, but I didn't do anything with it. Like, whatever it said, I didn't actually change what I was doing anyway. So I was like, why do I even bother logging in to check this stuff? Let me pull up my analytics and see what my average watch time is. Average view duration, 5 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, that's... I've got about... It was a bit higher before, but it's gone down a bit. Mine's 3 minutes 58 right now.
Yeah, I suspect some of that is my average video length is quite a bit longer than yours, probably. Even though these days I try to do shorter videos. I know for a long time I used to keep up with the average video length of my videos. YouTube doesn't provide that information, but I kept up with it myself. And I want to say on average, my videos were averaging 18 or 19 minutes in length. So that's, yeah. So they're only watching 2 minutes of 18 minutes, right? They're only watching a third of the video.
Yeah, that is a a bit of a problem. You obviously still get people watching to the end, but finding that sweet spot for how long a video actually should be is always kind of difficult to do.
Yeah, there are certain types of videos that you can't make shorter. Like if it's going to be something really deep and a lot of detail that's technical, that's okay. But sometimes if you're just speaking off the cuff about a topic, and sometimes I'll ramble on. And I've tried to force myself these days not to ramble on. And now that I actually spend more time editing my videos than I did, I will actually edit out a lot of the rambling parts. Even if it was an interesting point, even if I have to cut out some points that I thought were interesting, just to get the video length down, sometimes I will cut out parts just because I think it's more important not to have somebody sit there for 15 minutes listening to me when 8 minutes is plenty. Right?
No, I've definitely had that problem myself. I realized my videos were getting too long. People were saying, like, you could have cut this down. There were people being a bit extreme about it. Like, oh, you should just do all of 5-minute videos. Like, if you want...
No, you can't do that.
That's not happening.
No, because there's some things there's no way you could do in 5 minutes.
Like
if you were going to do it, like you did your very first video on Emacs, for an example, you're going to have to spend at least 10 minutes explaining to people what the hell Emacs is before you even demonstrate anything about it, right? Like, there's some topics you just can't do in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense. On the other hand, sometimes you definitely can, and then you try to fill it out a bit more than you probably should do.
Yeah.
There's
viewers that are not going to be satisfied either way. Because
no.
the videos the videos where I ramble on, people will say, man, you talk too much. And then the videos, I made a concerted effort to trim down as much as I could and make it as concise as possible. Hey, man, you didn't really explain that as in-depth as, well, which group are you going to satisfy? So.
I think ultimately you need to, it kind of goes back to what we said earlier. You need to be looking at what you want to do and trying to improve upon the content you want to make.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is I never make a video for the audience. I know that's, I hate to tell people that, but the videos I make, yeah, they're strictly, hey, that's what I'm interested in at that moment. I never pre-plan. Rarely do I ever pre-plan a video like days ahead of time to make show notes or anything. It's I'm turn on the camera, I sit down. What do I feel like doing today? Whatever it is I feel like doing, that's what I do.
That's interesting because
anybody watches.
I've sort of taken the opposite, or not opposite approach. Opposite in one way. I actually do heavy show notes at this point. I didn't do anything back when I first started, but I found that I ended up taking longer to record and making more mistakes on the things that I was saying. So now I typically note out the stuff that's actually important, so I don't end up saying something completely inaccurate.
Yeah. If I'm doing something that I know that I'm going really in depth in something, and I know it's a super long video, like over half an hour in length, I don't want to waste time. So I will jot down some notes or at least a big outline just so I don't get sideways on something where you get to the end and realize, oh, I forgot to cover that. I go back and record, that section again. So sometimes something's really lengthy. I may jot down some notes, but for the most part, I don't bother.
So you were saying before that you recorded it and edited, or I guess edited the video and uploaded it before you started. So you don't actually plan anything ahead. Like you just do you make your videos on the day they go up?
Most of the time. Not all the time. Sometimes I will record something and not upload it that day. Maybe the next day, if I'm trying to do some batch recording to get ahead because I'm going to have a couple days where I can't record. Yeah, I may record 3 videos in a day and spread them out over the next 3 or 4 days because I'm not going to be around. But 95% of the time, when I upload a video, I recorded it and edited it that day.
Well, I can't do that because my upload time is 6:30 in the morning local time, so I'd have to record it the day before, but I do everything in batch recording. So at the start of the week, Monday, Tuesday, I will do 5 videos on Monday, 2 videos on Tuesday, and that blocks out my entire week.
Wow.
I think
I used to try to do the 1 video a day thing. I've actually done that in 2 different spurts. Early on in the channel's history, I was trying, and did that for a while. And then I was like, there's no reason to do every day. Just do as many videos as you can, but if you take a few. And then after doing that for a while, I thought, man, I should go back to doing a video a day. I think that was the right thing to do. And then here recently, I decided a video a day is too much. So now I backed off a little bit.
Well, I might cut back from doing a video a day, but I do still like doing the batch recording because I like just knocking out all of my work at the start of the week. And then after that, I can actually then go and spend my time doing other stuff, whether that is playing around with something I might want to talk about or just doing things outside of YouTube, really.
Yeah, the problem for me, I don't mind the batch recording, but the editing process is always the longest thing anyway. And to have to edit a lot of videos, it's going to take so many hours.
I actually take way less time for editing because of how much I do my show notes. So I typically have like a story I want to get through, whereas I can probably guess you have a lot more, I guess, tangents you go on during the videos. And that takes more time to edit out.
Yeah, sometimes I cut those out, but mainly if there's any pauses, any silences, because sometimes I'll start talking about something, get to the end of my point, but I don't have show notes, right? So then, okay, what's next? And I pause for 5 seconds. I got to come back and eliminate those 5 seconds of silence and put everything together. So that's typically the most time-consuming part of the edit.
So when you're recording, do you just do one long recording and not like if you make a mistake, then you'll go back and just re-say that as you're actually going over, as you're going in that same clip, or do you stop the recording and then restart?
No, I stop and do multiple
Okay.
clips. I don't like doing anything in one long recording, even an interview like what we're doing here. If this was me doing this, you're recording with you, and I was saving it on my machine, at some point after about 10 minutes, I would say, all right, Brody, I'm going to pause. I'd cut it. I'd start it again because I learned a long time ago when you do everything in one long clip, if something goes bad,
Yeah.
right now, if something happened to that file you're recording, we just lost the last 1 hour and 41 minutes.
That's a fair point. Maybe I should change what I do.
Where if you split it up into about 10 minutes, if there's ever a problem with one of those files for whatever reason, you lost that 10-minute section. And if your guest doesn't mind going back and recording that 10 minutes, again, that's fine. But when you get to the end of 2 hours and then realize I forgot to hit the start button, which happens a lot recording. Yeah, I've done it many times, and I know it happens to other people.
That's why I took your advice. You said a few months back, have your file manager open when you record a video.
Yes, until you see that file created, don't start talking.
Yep.
Right? Because you will get to the end of that 2-hour interview and realize you never recorded anything. And then you got to ask your guests, you have another 2 hours?
Yeah, I do definitely need to make sure that I take breaks, because when I'm recording my regular videos, every time I take a pause, I stop the clip. So for my regular stuff, I do heavily make use of clips. Like I have a 10-minute video, there might be 20 clips in there because I'm not very good at stringing together a sentence. You can probably tell from this. I'm better when I'm talking to someone, but when I'm just doing a video, sometimes I will get to a point where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say next and just stop. And this is usually after like 10 or 15 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I would say if I'm doing like a 10-minute video, I'm going to have, I don't know, 6 to 12 different clips.
Yeah, okay.
Think about it in paragraphs. I typically, give one thought, and I know I'm going to move on to something. I could do it all in one clip, but I'll pause the recording, start again.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about pausing the recording is you spend way less time. You make way less mistakes with leaving stuff in, because if you just have like one long clip, maybe you'll accidentally skip over a bit and not cut that out and then repeat yourself twice. Whereas if they're distinct clips, it's a bit easier to notice those problems.
Yeah, if you break it down into shorter clips too, if you make some kind of weird mistake or you stumble through some words and you want to say it again, then you got this weird situation where you got to splice 2 different sentences together to try to fix the mistake you made. Well, if you only recorded 2 minutes, right? Just go back and record that 2 minutes again. Or if you recorded a 20-minute clip, you're not going to go back and re-record 20 minutes. You're just going to fix it in editing. But when you take it in smaller chunks, when you make a mistake, re-recording that clip is always the best option rather than trying to edit it.
The only time I try to do one long video is when I'm doing like the vloggy stuff outdoors.
Oh yeah, like anytime I'm doing any kind of ramble.
Yeah, the rambles obviously makes sense like that, unless you just completely forget. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's no reason to even breaking that up or even editing that stuff. Now that's typically the kind of stuff I won't edit again, unless there's some weird pause or something. But I'm typically not worried about fixing mistakes or anything and that kind of stuff.
Or like a truck drives by and honks their horn.
Oh yeah. Or the other day, I think I had one where a dog was barking or something, going crazy.
Yeah, I've definitely had that before.
Well, that makes those videos more real.
Well, there was one I did a few months back where I was recording outside and there was a big gust of wind and it like knocked over something onto my fence. I like turned around during the middle of the recording. What was that?
Every now and then I will get the neighbor's lawnmower picking up. There was a period about a month ago where for 2 days I did not record because I knew it was going to pick up the roofers working on the roof
Mm-hmm.
on the next door neighbor's house, because they were using the nail gun, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take a couple of days off from recording, because I didn't want people, what the hell, is that gunshots? What's going on there?
That is the nice thing about doing batch recording, though. Then you can make sure that you have videos in case that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that was some of the aftermath from the two hurricanes.
Yeah.
Some of the roofs around here. So there was a lot of construction there. September and October, there was people rebuilding their fences and having new tiles put on their roofs and everything. And it was affecting me recording, because I was having to work around what these construction crews were doing.
Yeah, you've had a good year of hurricanes. Like, it's been...
Yeah, it was
How much time have you had to take off because of hurricanes? It's got to be at least like 2 or 3 weeks, I reckon.
Well, when Hurricane Laura happened at the end of August, and that was a monster hurricane. I've never seen a hurricane like that in my lifetime, as far as I don't live on the Gulf. I'm about 4 hours inland. And it was so strong when it hit the Gulf. It was like 150 mile per hour sustained winds, and it was traveling really fast. So it got up here quickly. Typically, by the time these storms get here, they're tropical storm force wind, maybe 40 mile per hour winds. This thing was still like category 1 strength all the way up here. And it just leveled trees and took out power for most of the state. I went a week without power. And late August, that is the hottest time of the year here. It was like 100 degrees with the humidity, 110 degrees with the humidity, with no air conditioning, no nothing. And it was horrible. Probably the worst week of my life as far as just comfort level, extremely uncomfortable. So that was bad. So I lost 8 or 9 days recording, I think, because I just was completely out of everything at that point. But I had it a little easier than most people. Kind of live close to the city, and people that are out further, there were people without power 3 weeks later.
Jesus.
It was bad. That particular hurricane was really nasty. 6 weeks later, after that, another one hit and took the exact same path, but it was not nearly as strong. And I lost power briefly. I think 3 days.
Okay.
But it was cool by then. It was like 70 degrees out, so it's comfortable. Okay. It was almost like a vacation at that point. It was nothing like one in late August.
Yeah, you can just take one of those internet vacations. You're like, no internet for a couple of days. It's all good.
Yeah. So really, the months of September and October for my channel were really disrupted, because I probably missed out recording probably about 2 weeks or so, combined with those storms and everything, because of the power. And then there was no internet here for 3 or 4 days after the second one, because a tree took out a massive section of lines or something. So I had no network here at the house for like 4 days straight at one point. But it didn't affect the channel any. You wonder about that when you record as often as me and you do, especially, almost every day. No views drop off, as far as people still watching the old videos. It's not like you go away for a week and come back, everybody's, no, they're still here.
Yeah, some people do have that happen to their channels, but I think it really depends on the sort of content you make. Like, a lot of the stuff we do has a lot of residual views that keep going. Like, I'll do a video on, like, Vim or something. People are going to keep watching that as it happens, or as time goes on. But if you're a channel that makes more, like, timely content, I can definitely see how, like, a week drop-off would definitely really affect you. Like, if you do, say, tech news, for example, that might be a pretty big hit on your channel.
Yeah, I don't do much that's time sensitive. So
yeah, I do things that are so time insensitive that even when it should be time sensitive, I still do it like 3 months later.
Yeah, and I tried to keep my viewers informed, like with that first Hurricane Laura. I let them know, because I was already getting a heads up from local authorities. This could be bad. People could be without power for weeks. I kind of knew. So the night before, I sent out a post on my community tab in YouTube with the little the photograph, the weather photograph, the radar of the storm. I was like, hey, this is about to happen. I might lose power. I might not. If I don't lose power, I'll still be making content. If I do, problem. And then storm hits. It's bad. I lose power. So I post every single day on the community tab. I actually have to drive in my car to power my phone so I could post on the YouTube community tab. I take a picture, a selfie with my camera, and then drive and go post it. Just letting people know, hey, day 1 without power, day 2 without power, and then just to keep them connected. So it's not like I go 7 or 8 days without making anything. Back, oh yeah, a hurricane hit.
Yeah, that definitely does help. Then it's not like, because some channels just do suddenly stop making content and not really give any indication they're ever coming back or anything like that. So it is definitely good that you are doing that.
And some of them disappear and don't come back. That's the one thing, making these videos for the last 3 years. I've been a Linux user for about 12 years, strictly Linux user on the desktop for about 12 years. And there were people making Linux content, not nearly as many, but I couldn't tell you what those channels are because none of them exist anymore, because nobody makes YouTube videos that long, right? People typically flame out pretty quickly, right? They go really hard for 6 months or a year, and then, man, this is work. I didn't know it was going to be work. I got to quit doing this. And that's those people that just disappear. You never hear.
Yeah, when I started this, I knew like this wasn't going to be like a walk in the park. It was going to be like, you're going to be putting in the hour. If you're going to be making this many videos, I didn't start doing a video every day at the start, but I knew that if I was going to be making videos, like if I want to do them well, this isn't going to be like, oh, just 15 minutes, upload a video. That's not happening. There will be real work involved. You will put in the hours and you will get it done.
Right, especially at the beginning. I know I didn't know what all was involved, and I think most of our viewers have no idea about. They assume you turn on a camera and record, and that is it. They don't know about editing the video, or in some cases, editing the audio, cleaning up the audio, or they don't know the thumbnails just magically appear. Nobody has to spend time creating them, right? And like, there's so much involved.
I am putting so much more effort. Actually, thumbnails is a place where I'm just leaking time now, because I've started to put so much more effort into them, but it is having such a massive effect on the channel.
It's one of the most important things that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah,
it's just spend some time with titles and thumbnails, because there have been videos I have made where I just thought, man, I could make this really cool thumbnail. I make the thumbnail, and now I got to make the video to go along with the thumbnail. Because I thought this would be a great thumbnail.
Like, at this point, I'm just like, I'm gonna just take the piss with it, because I know that what I've realized with thumbnails is you make it colorful, people will click on it. Obviously, I'm still making it relevant to the content, but this is the picture I'm going to use for a video on pulse effects. You should be able to see it in Discord.
Maybe I got to get out of the grid view.
Yes.
You know what, I am full screen too in my window now.
Here we go, I've got it on the screen.
Okay.
This is, I mean, it's going to be the title something like something about audio wizardry. I don't know.
No, I think that's going to be all right.
This is so I've got 2 Hawaiian shirts on, and I've got 3 hats on. So I've got my I Heart Goon hat. Then the 2 hats on the left and right, those are Jack Daniels hats. One's a Jack Daniels racing hat. The other one's just Jack Daniels whiskey.
Yeah. And you got a nice colorful shirt there. Make sure when you edit it, oversaturate it so it really stands out.
That's the big one as well. I heard that early on. For some reason, if you make it higher contrast, people click on it more. I don't know why. I think it's just colorful things people like.
It does pop out, especially when the thumbnails are really small and people are looking in the search results.
Mm.
If yours is really colorful and if it's really saturated, it's going to stand out compared to everybody else's.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that everyone else also does that as well. It's not in.
Well, no, they don't.
Okay, not in Linux, that's for sure. Like, there's a lot of really bad thumbnails in Linux content.
Oh, there's some really lazy thumbnails. As in, there's some people that don't do thumbnails that have sizable channels. Like people
are we talking
just
about
go with one of the? But people will go with just the standard YouTube snapshot, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Are you talking about a certain anime Linux YouTuber?
Oh, I actually didn't have him in mind, but yes, that was one that certainly is guilty of that.
Mm-hmm.
Although, does he still do that? I think he actually spends some time.
Maybe I don't watch much.
No, yeah, say I don't.
Nope, exactly the same.
Well, I'll let you pull it up because you found it first. All right.
Yeah, it didn't really take any of the advice you put in your video a couple of months back.
Yeah. But a lot of people did.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the response from a lot of people that had YouTube channels or were thinking about getting started that just loved that video, that particular video. They're like, hey, man, that was really good advice. I would have never thought of some of that.
Yeah, I knew most of the stuff you're already talking about, but I did still definitely get something out of that video.
No.
For people who didn't know anything, though, like, that was an amazing resource.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a fun video to make, too. That was, like I said, I like making videos. I like to make. That was. Yeah, because it's nice just to take a look at other people's videos, other people's channels, and like, hey, this is what you're doing right. This is what you're doing wrong, and
yeah.
When people see you criticize something instead of just talking about it, when you say, hey, you got to focus on titles and thumbnails, you don't really know what that means until you show it the wrong way.
Yes.
Like, this is clearly not the right way, right?
Yeah, it's with titles and thumbnails. I think people in Linux, they are still stuck in like 5 or 6 years ago with very descriptive titles of exactly what it actually is. Whereas that's not really where YouTube is right now. You kind of have to move more. I don't like it, but you have to do clicky titles in some sort of way.
Well, clickbait has always been a part of all content, even written content. Even 30 years ago, when I was doing stuff on the web, I mean, if you were writing anything, articles or blogs or anything, yeah, it's all about a catchy title so people will actually read that, because there's so many other competing articles on the same stuff. I mean, clickbait is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just part of the game. It's
like,
if you don't do it, you're damaging yourself in a lot of ways.
For example, I did a video on StartX. So I could have titled this video StartX. I don't even know how to title it without it being clicky. StartX can start up your Xorg server without a display manager or something like that, which is what it does. Like, that's a descriptive title, but I titled it Eliminate Your Display Manager with StartX, and that video exploded.
Yeah.
It's still descriptive. It still says exactly what it is, but it's done in a way that makes it more catching to, or more eye-catching to people just scrolling past it.
Yeah, I like that. I like the thumbnail too.
Yeah, I actually, I didn't edit in the monitor. I did edit in the image, obviously, but I actually picked up my second monitor and held it up for that picture.
You know what I was about to say? Because I actually thought what you did is you took a picture of your monitor. Mm-hmm. Maybe you even took it front on and then you used a rotating tool or something in your... That's actually the picture.
Yes, I unplugged my second monitor and held it up. It was not easy to get that picture.
You see, I said that was a really nice thumbnail because I thought you worked hard at that. But no, that's just the way you took the picture.
I did have to like manipulate the picture of Light DM to get it to fit fine. But yeah.
In the monitor.
Yeah, in the monitor.
Yeah.
But
okay,
that would have made it much easier. Just made it so much easier.
I think I like the other thumbnail next to it better with this you holding the cash,
Ah,
the
yes.
Vivaldi merch.
I love that thumbnail.
Uh, and you're going to become a Vivaldi shield.
Ah, yes, yes, I am. At the start of that video, I literally say I don't run Vivaldi. They didn't pay me to say anything about their browser. I run Brave on my system. I like internet money.
Yeah, I run about 6 different browsers.
Oh, I have 3 installed, but my main one is Brave.
I'm not loyal to any particular piece of software. Like I'm the most like no window manager. I'm in something different every day. You never know. Text editor, or I might fire up them. Why not? It doesn't matter.
Use whatever tool works. No need to get yourself like in these wars on like what is the best text editor. Like,
well, I love confusing my viewers because I'll make a video about Emacs one day. Hey, I love Emacs. I like Emacs more than Vim. I'll never go back to Vim. Next day, I'll make a video and I'll open up a terminal and fire up something in Vim. And then, man, what are you doing? Because I know it's going to lead to all kinds.
Well, I think
I troll my viewers a lot.
Yeah, a good topic to end on then is those not just those little trolling, the videos where you really troll your viewers, like the gun video, for example.
Well, that wasn't necessarily a trolling video. That was another fun one to make. But, it was a sincere video as far as the points I wanted to make. But I did have a little fun with it by showing off my gun collection. And that was fun. But I already knew because just the way political
you knew exactly what the like-dislike for that would be.
Oh, yeah. And that's fine. I hope the people that enjoy arguing about politics had fun in the comment section. I wasn't hanging out in that comment section, but hey, you guys go ahead. Because you know what? All of those people commenting and the 10,000 people that gave me the thumb, you really helped me in the YouTube algorithms.
Definitely did.
So guys, you got played.
Oh. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to end off the podcast. We're just past 2 hours now. I usually end off the episode by giving just some random channel out there a shout out. Anyone that you think deserves a bit more attention. Maybe it's a channel that uploads cat videos. I don't know. Anything you're enjoying.
Well, because I don't consume that much video content, I will say here in the last month or two, I'm not really a gamer, but there is a free and open source game, real-time strategy game called Zero AD. I don't know if you know of that particular game. It's fantastic. Yeah. And free and open source. And I've been playing it a lot, and it's a lot to get into as far as the mechanics of the game and learning about the game. And there is a YouTube channel called Tom Zero AD, who discusses all the various civilizations in the game and the skills that you need to acquire to become good at the game when you're competing online against real life players, which I'm too bad at to compete against real life players. I just play against the computer. But that's one I've watched here recently that is actually a pretty nice channel if you're at all interested in the game.
That sounds kind of cool. I've never been into RTS. It's just something that I feel is too big brain for me to understand. But they always look cool. When I watch people who are good at them, it always looks cool.
It is like people that have the capacity to handle chess, right? It's kind of like that. You're either one of those chess people or you're not. And for the most part, I'm not one of those people. That's why I have to go to YouTube video to explain to me how the hell to play this game and how to win. Because all these other people are just beating the crap out of me, and I don't understand.
I might check this out because I am starting to get back into gaming a bit. This is how you make gaming productive. Okay, what you do is you start live streaming it.
Yeah, I've done some of those in the past, not recently,
but I'm starting up like a second, or I guess a third channel because this is the second channel. I'm starting up a third channel, which is going to be like a game live streaming channel, and then it's not going to be consistent. Whenever I feel like playing a game, I'll upload something there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
if you start doing gaming on your regular channel, all the people there for your Vim content are going to be unhappy.
Yeah, I can make exceptions for things like Super Tux Kart, but most games, no.
One of the things with YouTube is they punish you too when you have those videos where you have very low watch time or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, once in a while it's not bad, but if you were going to do basic, it would seriously hurt your regular channel. So it's best to put all that on a separate channel.
Well, yeah, it gets to the point where you're sort of trying to move out of your niche if you do it too much, and YouTube isn't the biggest fan of that.
No.
Okay, as for me, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna suggest you go watch an Australian comedian called Luke Kidgel. He does a series where he watches The Bachelor with his girlfriend, and they laugh at it while being really drunk, and that's fun. The Bachelor Australia, which is even better.
It's Bachelor Reactions.
Pretty much, but he also does random other skit comedy stuff. He did one recently, which was called People Who Comment First on Videos. He got drunk and played Fall Guys. Yeah, basically it's a comedy channel. I recommend it. Also, he is absolutely amazing to see live when he can eventually do stand-up again.
Yeah, hopefully the world will get back to normal.
Hopefully.
Sometime in 2021.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not holding out much hope.
It'll happen probably 6 months from now. It's not close, but eventually we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point. Okay, so where can people find you if they want to go see your stuff?
Well, they can find Distrotube on YouTube and Library. On social media, the only social media that I really do much on is Mastodon. Look for Distrotube at mastodon.technology.
Mm-hmm.
You can contact me on Reddit. I do have Reddit. I don't really converse too much with people on Reddit. Mainly, I'm just there to check out potentially cool topics to cover on.
Yeah.
But I do have a subreddit. There is a Distrotube subreddit that anytime I post a video, it gets posted there. And you can comment, and I might respond, but probably not.
That's fair. Yeah, I have a subreddit. I haven't advertised it yet. I need to do that because I've got some people in my Discord.
I have never advertised my subreddit. And the other day, I got an announcement that I just crossed 1K subscribers on the subreddit. I've never actually mentioned this on video. Where did all these people come from?
I think they just searched Distrotube on Reddit and they found it.
Yeah, and I don't even, like I said, I don't even talk to the people there. So it's weird. I guess I need to start talking to these people, especially the ones hanging out in Discord and IRC.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's not enough hours in the day.
That's fair, yeah.
To do everything I want to do. I've been, since the moment I woke up this morning, I've been going nonstop. And now it's close to 7 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's never enough time to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, after this, I've still got my weekly thumbnails to make and editing this and then editing the thumbnails for this and editing the clips for this. Yeah.
Come up with some good clickbait. Yeah, that takes a few minutes thinking about the clickbait.
Yeah, I need to be better on clickbait for the podcast. The main channel, I got it down, but the podcast I'm still a bit lazy with.
Yeah.
I think just putting your name in the title is going to be enough for the clickbait for this one.
Yeah, that should be good.
Cool. Before we go, I want to thank my supporters. So a special thank you to Chris, Joachim, Donald, Corbinian, Andre, Nathan, Montezar, Will, Chico Bento, Joseph, Mitchell, Peter D, Road, Tony, Tushar, and all of my $2 supporters. If you want to go find my stuff, you can find my main channel at Brody Robertson on YouTube and Library. My podcast, this one right here, it's available as an audio release. If you want to watch it basically anywhere. Anywhere that you can find podcasts, it's probably there. iTunes, the other things that have podcasts, I don't know.
Spotify? Is it on Spotify?
It's on Spotify.
What about Google?
It's
Google
on
Music? Is it
it's on Google that. Yeah.
So it's everywhere. Okay.
Basically everywhere, yeah. And if you're watching the audio version, the video version is on YouTube, Library, and Odyssey if you want to watch it there. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll give you the final words. What do you want to say?
I really have nothing else to say other than check out. Check me out on Mastodon. Other than that, thanks for having me, bro. And everybody that watched this or listened to this, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hopefully next time Discord will cut out a bit less because it's been getting pretty bad.
I've noticed you actually cut in and out a little bit here, just very briefly. Nothing that's going to be a problem for you. But yeah, I've noticed it being a little buggy here.
Well, I record my audio like directly from my mic input, so I won't notice it on my side. I don't know. Maybe I'll try out something besides Discord next time.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, it's actually been a lot of fun talking to you. I'm happy we finally did this podcast.
Yeah, this was a blast. I'm glad I did it too.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything then. And I'm out.